Welcome back to Webcertain TV. I'm Gemma Houghton. Today I'm joined by Liang Chen, who is an SEO consultant at RS Components. And we're going to talk about global mobile website rollouts. So hi Liang, thank you for being here.
Nice to having me.
So global mobile website rollout is something you've done recently at RS Components. What was the reason for doing that?
Okay, cool. So it has been kind of on our mind to develop a mobile user experience for our customers. We noticed that our customers are moving from desktop devices to mobile devices, and that trend has been continuing. So we had actually mobile applications before, but it wasn't up to and it wasn't the best experience, if you will. So that was deprecated, and we decided to build a new modern kind of mobile application.
And there are, of course, different ways that you can have a mobile presence, different ways you can structure and build a website. So what criteria did you take into account when deciding, and for businesses in general, what should you look at when deciding how to structure a mobile site?
Okay, so we first looked at the business requirements, so what business wants to present in terms of user experience, and we also looked at the technical side of things. So what our existing technology stacks are like. Are there any dependencies, any bottlenecks, any blockers? Looked at the IT infrastructure and see whether are we going to be able to handle the additional crawl after the rollout? Are we able to serve our mobile site as quickly as we can, and just making sure that we take all this into consideration when we choose our approach, the mobile approach.
And then once you have decided on the approach and you are starting working on the build and getting it right, what are the kind of main things to bear in mind? What are the main criteria to get right, I guess, when you're building such a site?
We need to make sure that first of all, the new mobile application will not have any negative impact on our existing desktop site. We have to protect that, and we have to make sure that the introduction of the mobile site will give us incremental gain in traffic.
Yeah.
So a number of technical aspects, SEO technical aspects that we deployed to address that, from indexation point of view, from duplication point of view, and making sure that Google can correctly index, crawl, index, and interpret our mobile websites.
And that it knows which one is mobile, which one is desktop.
Yes.
And how do you do that? What are the main things? How do you make sure that you tell Google that?
Okay, so I think for this, one particular tag we used is mobile alternate tag, and essentially is that tag tells Google where your mobile website or web counterpart is, and you point that link from your desktop version to your mobile, and that gives indication to Google how to find your mobile page, and also you have to make sure that you have the canonical tag placed on the mobile page pointing back to your desktop, so that Google doesn't take the mobile page as a separate entity to your desktop page, actually considering them as a single entity.
So it's important to make sure that those connections are very clear between the desktop and the mobile, and that they are the same thing. They're just there to serve the different purposes. There are, of course, when you're doing it on a global basis, there are more search engines. We just mentioned Google there, but of course there are more search engines than just Google. So what extra things do you need to think about when you're targeting other search engines like Baidu or Yandex?
Okay, that's a very good question. So take Baidu for example. So Baidu, as far as we know, it's not very good at reading the mobile alternate tag. So Baidu's implementation for submitting the mobile app is through Baidu's equivalent of the Search Console, and in that you can the few methods. The one we used is pattern match. So we tell Baidu what pattern we use for the desktop and the what's the pattern we use URL pattern we use for the mobile, and through that method you submit that relationship to Baidu through the Search Console, and then Baidu can start to understand and connect the dots between desktop and the mobile application. So that's a very different approach to what we do with Google, for example.
Yeah.
So yes.
So it's very important to understand the differences and make sure that you are aware of them. Otherwise, you will end up with a not very successful site, I guess.
Absolutely.
And with any rollout, the key is obviously not to cause any disruption to the site and to your users as you're making this change, and to do it as quickly as possible as well for the business. So how can you, what steps can you put in place? What things can you do to make it as quick and efficient as possible?
So for us, first of all, when we deploy the mobile site, first is to make sure critically that it does not hurt our desktop site. So we picked a small market as a trial to test our technology and test our implementation and making sure everything would go well.
Yeah.
And with that test, and we discovered a number of things that we can improve on. For example, the speed of indexation. So we realized that by placing the mobile alternate tag exclusively in the sitemap, the result of that was quite a slow indexation, and we decided to deploy a few two, to be exact, two measures to speed up the indexation. One is to add the mobile alternate tag to the desktop, in addition to the sitemap implementation, and also to introduce the user agent redirect, so that when the mobile search comes in, it will be redirected to the mobile, and desktop devices will be redirected to the desktop site. And that had a very good and very positive impact, and we saw the acceleration in terms of the indexation of our new mobile page.
And then finally, to talk about kind of measuring the success of such a rollout. Obviously, whenever you change anything, you need to measure it. How quickly do you actually see results from something like this? How quickly can you start to gauge how it's worked?
Okay, so we so the tracking, so two sides of it to it. One is we look at the webmaster tools, which give us indication. And the other side is the on-site tracking. So we use Adobe Omniture to track that. So the Omniture is pretty immediate. So we can see the session coming in from mobile devices to the mobile site, and that was very immediate. And site so Search Console was not this lead time, but it's still pretty quick, to be honest. And I think we started to see the changes in the Search Console only a few days after the deployment, the first initial deployment.
On an ongoing basis, once you've rolled it out and it's there live and you see, right, this is right, it's working okay, what do you need to do just to keep on top of it to make sure that it's doing what it should be and that it's still performing properly?
So obviously we need to keep an eye on the metrics, on the stats, and making sure that it's heading the correct direction. And one crucial element we looked at is actually the combination of so the overall traffic, and introducing mobile website. On one hand is to improve the mobile user experience. On the other hand, we wanted to improve the sessions as well. And so the overall traffic, I think, for the past few months has been very positive. And I believe we hit the all-time high in terms of organic session in the last month. So that's been very positive for us with the introduction of the mobile site. Absolutely.
So that's definitely a good story to tell people and for people watching to see that it really does make a difference, and it requires some time and investment, but the results are worth it in the end.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you sharing those with us today. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.